Hi everyone, my name is Vantage Emblem, and today I'm joined with the great DavoGato on my channel this time to talk about some mysteries in the Pikmin 4 trailer. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, I'm DavoGato. I made the Umibozu theory, and
Yes,
I'm
you
honored
did.
to be here. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you on the channel. For those of you who don't know, the Umibozu theory is a legendary Pikmin theory about the Water Wraith and Plasm Wraith and how it all ties together. It was originally presented on Dash Review's channel, but you were the one behind it, correct?
That was all my script and writing. Daz is a good friend of mine, so I gave the script to him to read at the time. I had no voice. I had vocal paralysis. So I'm better now, but you know.
Well, I'm glad to have you, and I'm very, very excited to talk about the things that we have planned for today. So, would you like to introduce the topic of this video?
Sure. The topic of this video basically is Pikmin 4. Mysteries. Where is this cave? What is this? Why can the dog breathe? What's up with ice Pikmin? Are they special? Are they not? And other mysteries.
So basically today, we're going to be exploring all of these different mysteries that have been presented by the Pikmin 4 trailer. Some of these we may get answers for in the actual game. Some of them we may not. But I think most of these mysteries are concrete and solvable directly in the game, and we will find out answers to them. So today we're going to be sleuthing around and trying to see what we can solve. So, DavoGato, would you like to introduce the first mystery we're talking about today?
Absolutely. The first mystery of today is, what's up with that story? Who is this character, and where the heck is Olimar?
So this is an interesting question because Pikmin 3 had a very similar mystery when the Kopyates were introduced. We assumed they were Hokotation at the time. They turned out not to be. So really there's nothing saying they have to be. Of course, there's contextual elements that argue otherwise.
We don't know anything about the characters. We only know two of their names, and they appear to be some sort of alliance because they have an emblem on the research pod that flies to PNF 404, on the rocket itself, and on their jackets is the same insignia, so they all appear to be part of the same alliance, but we still don't know what that is.
It could be as small as a company from Hokotate to as large as an interstellar alliance. We just don't know.
The exciting thing is to speculate. We're at the point we can say, ideas. Maybe Olimar runs the company. Maybe he decided to quit Hokotate Freight and make his own thing to research PNF 404. It is interesting that on the ship itself there is writing that is Kopyate text, or well, it could be any space language now that it's in this game, but it was Kopyate before, and it says something very particular. It's a certain sort of acronym. We don't know what it stands for, but it's possible these characters tell us what it could stand for. Maybe that first letter is Hokotate. It's an H after all, but time will tell.
Honestly, it's very interesting to see what these characters are or could be. I know a lot of people are very against their designs at the moment, but then again, I think about Olimar and Louis, and I love those designs, and I'll be completely honest, if I didn't grow up with those designs, they'd probably be a little off-putting. That being said, Olimar, Louis, the President are peak character design, and you can fight me, but I've seen new players react to their designs and kind of think they're weird and strange, and that's how everyone in the community seems to be reacting to these designs, and it's how people reacted to the new captains in Pikmin 3. I do think these designs will probably grow on us, given time.
If they're characterized well, and the game itself is fun, I think we'll have positive memories with these characters. And
Absolutely.
that'll change our opinion of them, you know?
Absolutely.
But I will say, it threw me for a loop when I was watching the Direct live, because I was like, wow, Pikmin looks kind of babyish, and I didn't want to say it out loud, and it's not like a diss, but the captains, the ships, the onions, even the Pikmin, look a little toony, and there's probably a reason for that. The protists, as Japan calls them, or the monsters of the world of PNF 404, are harrowing and scary. Having cutesy things be the protagonist up against these massive creatures that are terrifying and strange and disheartening and weird kind of works as like this parallel.
And it's always been Pikmin being these cute characters against horrifying monsters. And we actually see this already. The new boss, the Disco Arachnorb, as we may call it, is unnerving and creepy and corrupted. And the Empress Bulblex as well is also unnerving. The Disco Arachnorb boss is brand new, and in the caves, which were already scary places in Pikmin 2, I think that they've already made an effort to make these fearsome, terrifying places once again, and we've only seen 2 bosses. I can only imagine what horrors lie below, and having very cutesy characters up against these eldritch horrors is really part of the fun of Pikmin. So I think this is just an evolved version of that same kind of historical Pikmin precedent.
Yeah, it's a natural evolution, and although it may be jarring, it makes perfect sense from a design standpoint. Looking at our new Arachnorb, it's terrifying, and I don't know whether to call it the disco long legs, or the raving long legs, or the dancing long legs, but the point is, this Arachnorb is fought in a very strange arena. When we brighten up the footage, it almost looks like a man-made place, like there's some fluorescent lighting. There's the steel work you're actually standing on. The research pod is actually on a steel platform, much like in Pikmin 2. And there's rust, and in the distance we can see, like, metal scaffolding, like a basement or a garage or a skyscraper or, like, the internals of a building. Where the heck is this?
On top of that, we have the issue of the boss gate, as we're calling it, with the 01 label. What even is this? It's not something that's appeared in previous games. Do you have to fight multiple enemies or complete multiple tasks before you can progress? It's an 01 here, so maybe you have to defeat the boss to progress, but what if in future caves you have to defeat multiple bosses? I shudder of a cave where you have to fight 3 Snagrets to progress, but it's totally possible.
And what makes it even stranger is the boss gate's visible in the same shot as a beacon from a castaway. In the distance you can see it pulsating. The gate has to be cleared somehow before you can reach that castaway. What if defeating the boss is required to reach that castaway?
We see with the Empress Bulblex footage that there is an ice gate or a crystal gate of some sort in the background. If that is actually a crystal gate, perhaps you have to get rock Pikmin to open it, which is something I've said in previous videos, and perhaps the rock Pikmin drop right after the Empress Bulblex fight, so there may be some legitimate need to defeat the boss to progress here that was not in Pikmin 2. But I don't know.
It's interesting to think about, plus the idea that Pikmin 2 had upgrading treasures and the rewards for caves, that's what you got for defeating a boss. But Pikmin 3 didn't really play with upgrades and bosses in the exact same way. It played with upgrades and bosses being areas you unlock, so maybe Pikmin 4 will return to the idea of getting a reward for defeating a cave.
There's so many Pikmin types and we haven't seen them, and given the new caves, or return of caves I suppose, I think that there's a good chance these Pikmin types could be stuffed at the end of these caves, and you could unlock Pikmin types maybe even independently from their onion by going in the certain caves first, but I don't know.
We will see if they can be stored in the ship, or if they just have to be abandoned underground, which would be unfortunate, but much like the Bulbman, maybe you just can't take them to the surface. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Speaking of things abandoned underground, would you like to talk about those castaways?
Absolutely. Our good friend Nathan, Creative Sushi, pointed out to us that in Japan, they're called victims, not castaways. Victims of what? Castaways of where? Are these spacefarers who found an unfortunate fate on PNF 404? Are they bounty hunters or treasure seekers or Olimars and Louis of their own adventure getting stranded here for some reason? Do they not have Pikmin of their own? Are they stuck down here because someone led them astray? We're gonna find out what this mystery is, but oh my gosh, so many questions!
It's interesting because if you look at them as victims who have been brought to this planet and are now trapped, it's very, very curious that Olimar in Pikmin 3 was in some ways mothered by the Wraith, like a trophy, in the closest thing Pikmin 3 has to a cave. Are these castaways at the end of caves protected by these boss or kept as trophies? I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but there's a lot of curiosity in the repeating patterns of Pikmin lore that are starting to show up here, especially with this victims label.
And even though they're called castaways, there's something odd about them, and that is when you use Oatchi to sniff out their scent. In a brief frame in the trailer, once Oatchi gets the scent of the castaway, you can see a blue trail appear behind them, like in Twilight Princess, where how Wolfling can see scent trails. The same thing happens in the trailer. So what if you have to navigate this maze of a floor to find the castaway? Like, what if it's not as simple as, oh, you found a castaway? It's go navigate to get them. Go through a sea of enemies. Have fun.
And I think that the core mechanic of the formidable oak in Pikmin 3, of rescuing Olimar and carrying him behind you while the Plasm Wraith chases you, is something we could very much see revisited in these caves, especially if there's random generation to them. It could be a mixture of that and the water wraith of Pikmin 2, making some of these caves very tense as you use Oatchi to potentially drag these castaways to safety while you use your Pikmin to create a path. But I just don't know.
Oh goodness, it's the natural evolution of the Olimar chase!
We'll see.
I like that. I like that idea. But, you bring up an interesting point. Where are these captains coming from? Or rather, these victims, these castaways. Are they coming from space? Were they originally on this mission as part of the story? Was that cruiser carrying like 40 people and only 4 survived? What's up with that?
Is this a colonization plot and this colonization team, well, got stranded on this planet? It could be. Not sure.
Maybe they're collecting fruit as sustenance, treasure as a way to pay off whatever debt they owe, and something else like crystals or something.
Are they even related to our crew at all? I think no. They're wearing completely different uniforms.
Yeah, what if they're not anything we've seen before? What if they're not Hokotation or Kopiite? What if they're a whole new squadron from some other place?
Speaking of the squadron, would you like to talk about the names of our people in our squadron?
Absolutely. Our squadron has 2 confirmed names. Those are Shepherd, this is what they look like, and Colin, this is what they look like. And the other 2 have not been confirmed, but here's a group shot with all of them. And as you can see, they wear the same suit and have the same insignia, have the same beacon on their heads. But what's interesting is they have thematic names around dogs. So I'm guessing one of them might be named like Jack or Russell, or like other names that are like jokes on dogs. Because we have Shepherd, like German Shepherd, and Colin from like Border Collie. So it's really a big pun joke setting, and I really like that.
And it makes sense because they're bringing in Oatchi, who is a dog,
yeah.
So it's thematically makes sense with that.
And for newcomers who don't know, these dogs are actually canon to the Pikmin series since the first game. We just never saw one in a 3D environment. We saw one that Olimar had back home as his pet, but we never got to see these dogs in action, and that's what we're finally seeing.
Speaking of dogs as pets, our dog, Oatchi, can breathe without a helmet. That's really interesting. Considering they're supposed to be Hokotation dogs from off-planet, why can they breathe? Were they bred specifically for PNF 404? And if we're rescuing castaways, could Olimar be another castaway? Could we see Olimar's dog Bulbie return?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that'd be so cool. Imagine if they incorporate it in some way into the game, both Bulbie and Oatchi.
So if we see Olimar's dog, Bulbie, we could potentially, in 2-player battle, see Olimar face off against one of the new captains, with Olimar having Bulbie against the opponent's Oatchi, and that would be amazing. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if we got DLC starring Olimar with Bulbie, who is functionally the same as Oatchi, and there you go.
Oh gosh, Olimar and his dog on their own adventure? Maybe his family could be his home base crew. Oh my goodness, it's the perfect numbering. It lines up perfectly.
We'll see. That being said, if we're talking about home bases, you want to talk about the landing sites?
Absolutely, as almost any dedicated Pikmin fan who watched this direct 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 times already can tell you, there's these red crystals around the landing sites, as well as when you land in caves. They seem to evoke a safe zone, or, like a home base. So, the thing is, in the Pikmin trailer, we see multiple pink circles. And it's not a coincidence, they look like landing zones, except they're empty. Is it possible that this game has different landing sites based on multiple areas you can choose from? So you could choose to go to one area section in one day, and in the same area go to a different section, like section B or section C, to optimize your range of where you want to attack your plan for that day.
It's interesting because if you look at the first video on my channel, this is an idea I suggested back in 2020.
You were right on the money, and the best part is, Nintendo caught on that we wanted this, and you predicted this, and you wanted this, and then here it is. I don't think it's reaching to say that it's going to happen, because we see so many unoccupied landing sites in the footage. When Oatchi is dragging away one of the enemy corpses, you can see an unoccupied landing site right in the distance, and it even has the little spot for the Hokotate ship-style pod thing.
Interestingly enough, we're not sure why these landing sites are so different from Pikmin games before, where they clearly aren't just marked out, but instead have this glow around them. Perhaps there's something to do with the new collectible, which maybe is a way to activate these, like a currency used to activate landing sites or switch landing sites. These new collectibles are certainly an intriguing thing that is keeping us Pikmin fans perplexed.
That's the thing. We see them above ground in one localized area, and they're cyan colored. You know what else is cyan colored? Pikmin! And the craziest thing is, our introductory cutscene for Ice Pikmin is in a cave, but the crystals are found above ground. Is it possible that Ice Pikmin are a upgrade to Blue Pikmin? I mean, look at the onion. There's no ice petals there, and there's no ice candy pop buds we see. And once we see the Ice Pikmin in the footage, the Blue Pikmin are gone. They don't exist at the same time in any of the footage shots. They can't seem to be out when one of these, they could just be doing this on purpose to showcase Ice Pikmin, but it seems the Blue Pikmin and the Ice Pikmin are never on the screen at the same time.
It could be like a candy pop bud-like system, where you are able to convert specifically Blue Pikmin up to an Ice Pikmin, and for the sake of the footage in early game, they converted all of the Blue Pikmin they had on them, but I just don't know.
It's interesting too, because in the original logo for Pikmin 4, when we got the Bugle trailer with the clock and the bulbworm, you can see them form the 4 and their regular Pikmin, and then suddenly they glow, and then they're new Pikmin, which happen to be the same flower, yellow, as the Ice Pikmin. Perhaps it's like a spray or an upgrade like you can apply to the Pikmin in your squadron. What if it's just like a spicy spray made out of crystals that can form ice crystals on Blue Pikmin?
I recently made a short about this. There are roughly two extra slots left on the packaging for new Pikmin types. If this applies to the original 3 Pikmin types, we could see the Ice Pikmin as a souped-up Blue Pikmin. We could also see a souped-up Red Pikmin and a souped-up Yellow Pikmin. These could theoretically also be red and yellow, giving the developers more design space in the future, or they could be different colors entirely.
I've made some speculative artwork based on this idea. Please have a look. So ignoring the entire it has to be ice, fire, or electric themed, I ran with it and said, what if we took the concept art from Pikmin 3's art books and all that special stuff that confirmed the dog mechanics were recycled from parasitic Pikmin, and said, let's recycle some more concepts. So we have the green Thunder or Plasma or Watt Pikmin. It's electric based and it stores static electricity in its body. And maybe this is a way they can power up Yellow Pikmin to make them more powerful and actually have a newer function while still retaining the fact that you're Yellow Pikmin.
In addition, there is a red Pikmin design you made. Would you like to talk about that?
Absolutely. This is the Flame Pikmin or the Wax Pikmin. And why do I say wax? Because flame is a natural thing, but wax is similar to the slime Pikmin that were teased in the art book as a concept they experimented with. Of course, this never became anything, but the idea is the Pikmin who are flame Pikmin or wax Pikmin or candle Pikmin are an upgrade to red Pikmin, and they could act as a source of heat and fire. They could create light and attract enemies, or ignite pieces on fire like dry brush or fuses or candle wicks. They could power things with their fire, and most importantly, they could maybe even melt a little bit of their bodies, it wouldn't hurt them, but to make wax constructs, like building a bridge over a chasm, or maybe like expanding things in safety bubbles. The wax is versatile. It makes these red Pikmin have extra capabilities through their new form, if something like this ever comes to pass. Only time will tell, but these are some speculative concepts I had fun expanding upon, much like the Ice Pikmin who are actually real.
I will say 2 interesting things. First, we have a night mode of some sort. A Pikmin type that can shed light could easily be a good upgrade for Yellow Pikmin or Red Pikmin. Either one, and both of these I think would serve that function, just like the Ghost Pikmin from the concept art.
And speaking of the Ghost Pikmin, maybe, just maybe, the night mode doesn't actually let you use Pikmin. It gives you Pikmin ghosts. It just spawns in 10 or 7 or 20 or 30 or just only like 1 or 2 ghosts. And you have to figure out how to get the Conpito, the Starbit looking candy bits, back to your base without alerting enemies. And this is some speculative art I did based on the designs. Because, if Candle or Wax Pikmin are orange, I figured, well, we can make the ghosts translucent, and they'll give themselves a little beacon, much like the captains, so they can glow and provide light sources. So you can see what you're doing, but enemies will also see you.
And this is just like the concept art from Pikmin 3 that was unused, and we've seen they're willing to use things from this. I have a video in the future I'm working on talking more about that concept art. You should stay tuned for that.
And before you say, wow, orange Pikmin can't be real, green Pikmin can't be real, it could just be a trick of the light. But in the Empress footage, there's a single moment where I swear, right before the frame cuts out into a different piece of a clip, you can see an orange spray emerging from one of the larvae.
Now, it could be nectar. It could be a new spray that's just a power-up for Pikmin, kind of like the Ultra Spicy spray, but it could be something entirely new. We just don't know. And that's the most exciting thing. We just don't know right now.
We just don't. We didn't know. We didn't make the game.
I don't know. I didn't make the game.
But ultimately, we don't even know if the Pikmin types, like Ice Pikmin, actually come from sprays, or the blue crystals, or their candy pop buds. We don't know enough information to say that yet. But it's fun to speculate.
They could straight up come from an onion.
Yeah, we could just not know about the new Master Onion with all the extra petals. We just are lacking that information. But we're filling in the gaps the best we can.
Speaking of onions, something interesting. The onion looks modular. And by that, it looks like there are 3 different colors on it right now. Is there a chance that potentially you get to pick which colors of the onions come with you each day, but you have a limited choice for just 3? That could explain the absence of the blue Pikmin. But again, I just don't know.
When I was a child, I always imagined you could choose which onions would land with you, and you had multiple landing sites, and there was a settlement, and you had to defend the settlement. I swear, if this is exactly what Pikmin 4 is going to be, it's going to make the 10-year-old inside my heart very, very happy, because his dream came true on the Switch.
Well, on that note, I guess that kind of wraps up this video. Thank you so much for joining me, DavoGato.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for everybody for listening. It's great to talk about this stuff.
If you haven't seen my previous collab with DavoGato, that's on their channel. It's a video where we dreamed up some new wraiths, like the Water Wraith or the Plasm Wraith. You should take a look at it. It was done before Pikmin 4 got its new trailer, but I think it's still worth watching. That being said, what do you think? Do you think any of these ideas are true? Do you think any of these ideas are false? Please let me know in the comments below. My name is Vantage Emblem.
I'm DavoGato.
And thank you guys for checking in. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.